Hi, I am Mr. George Roy Juarez, currently the advisor of both the college and the Senior Plus Red Cross Youth Councils of Central Philippine University. I'm also a volunteer safety service instructor of the Philippine Red Cross Iloilo chapter, and I'm a full staff of the university. I was invited to make a lecture video on two topics. One is the disaster management, and then the other one is on first aid. I hope these two video recordings could help you in any way, and that you'll learn from it. And who knows, you might be able to use what you have learned from these two videos in your everyday life. So we'll start off with the disaster management, and then the next video will be the first aid. So here it goes on the disaster management. Okay, so the disaster management topic has three subtopics. We have the disaster situation and hazard review, and then the disaster management concept, and then the disaster assessment. So we have disaster. Disaster are natural or human-induced events wherein communities experience severe danger and its or and incur loss of lives and properties, causing disruption in its social structure and the prevention of the fulfillment of all or some of the affected communities' essential functions. While hazard is any phenomenon that has the potential to cause disruption or damage to humans and their environment, or an event or occurrence that has the potential for causing injury to life, property, and environment. Vulnerability are factors of the community that allows a hazard to cause a disaster, or the result of a number of factors that increase the chances of a community being unable to cope with an emergency. It is also the characteristics determined by social, economic, and environmental factors which increase the susceptibility to the impacts of hazards. Risk are level of loss or damage that can be predicted from a particular hazard affecting a particular place at a particular time, or the probability that injury to life or damage to property and the environment will occur. While an emergency are any situation in which the life or well-being of community will be threatened unless immediate and appropriate action is taken, and which demands an extraordinary response and exceptional measures. Okay, we have these two main types of hazards. One are the natural hazards, and under that natural hazards are the hydrological and meteorological hazards and the geological hazards. And the other one, major type of hazard, is the human-induced hazards. Under human-induced hazards, we have environmental hazards, we have complex emergencies, and we have technological hazards. Okay, we have here a sample of the hydrological or meteorological hazards. Uh, these are typhoon or tropical cyclone. As you can see, the Philippines is visited by 20 or more typhoons a year, and four of which are destructive. Okay, and another one are the flood or flash flood. Okay, the overflowing of water due to intense rainfall or caused by sea surge along coastal areas. As you can see here even here in Iloilo City, we usually experience this kind of hazard because of poor drainage. So even just outside in front of the university, whenever there are a voluminous rain for an hour or so, sometimes we have flooded areas outside and even inside the campus. Another hydrological and meteorological hazard is drought. So temporary reduction in water and moisture. Maybe some of you here are from farms outside of the city, wherein you have farms. You might have, or maybe in the previous years or so, you have experienced this kind of hazard. Okay. So we have another one, the geological hazard. This is the still part of the natural hazards, and we have earthquake. Okay, everybody knows what earthquake is. So we have this ground shaking, the ground rupturing, we also experience some liquefaction, landslide, and even tsunami. Okay, so tsunami, even though it can be caused by earthquakes, it can also be another kind of hazard. This is a Japanese word. It came from a Japanese word, which means harbor wave. Okay, it can be as high as 3 meters or more. So can originate from an undersea or coastal seismic activity, or even landslides or volcanic eruptions. We have another geological hazard, which is the volcanic eruption. So we have some lava flow, pyroclastic flows, the volcanic ash, and then the water vapor and gases. So another type of geological hazard are landslides. Okay, so it's a movement of a mass of rocks or soil from a higher point to a lower one. The rock falls, the deep failure of slopes, the shallow debris flows. Sometimes this kind of hazard is caused by also by human uh, because of the illegal cutting of big logs or big trees the in the mountainous areas. So whenever there would be a large or voluminous rainfalls, it can cause landslides. Another one, environmental hazard, is the red tide. So this is the discoloration of water bodies, paralytic selfish poisoning. So this is also very harmful to human because if you was able to eat shellfish that are caused by red tide, then it can poison you. Uh, We have another environmental hazard, the environmental pollution. So we have the air pollution, we have water pollution, we have ozone depletion, and we have possible global warming. Okay, we have complex emergencies. Again, these are already human-induced hazards. We have the armed conflict and the political destabilization. And another one is the socio-political and security hazards, rallies. Okay, and the technological emergencies. We have maritime accidents, plane crash, or even vehicular accidents. Okay. So we have now the basic understanding of disaster and hazards. So we move on the disaster management concept. Uh, Disaster management, it refers to the range of activities designed to maintain control over disaster and emergency situation and to provide a framework for helping persons at risk to avoid or recover from the impact of the disaster. So what are the objectives of disaster management? This is to reduce or avoid the human, physical, and economic losses suffered by individuals, by the society, and by the country at large, and to reduce personal suffering, and to achieve rapid and durable recovery. So we have this disaster management continuum. Um, it just go on from when we start from disaster, it goes back again. So this is a continuum. Let's say we start off with the disaster. So after disaster, um, we do the emergency response. Okay. And then after emergency response, we have to rehabilitate, and then we reconstruct whatever needs to be reconstructed, and development, and then we do disaster prevention, and then disaster mitigation, and then disaster preparedness and warning. Okay, we will do this uh, one by one. Okay, first is the disaster. Okay, so starts with disaster is a situation usually catastrophic in nature, which people are plunged into helplessness and as a result are in need of food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and other basic necessities in life. Next is the emergency response. So we have activities undertaken immediately following a disaster. It includes situational assessment and needs analysis, health and welfare, search and rescue, relief operations, and psychosocial activity. We Next would be the rehabilitation. We immediate repair and initial efforts to reestablish the essential services associated with the social and economic functions of a community. And then we have the reconstruction. Okay, so rebuilding of community services and facilities to a level at least equivalent to those existing before the emergency situation. If it's higher, it's better. We do developments. Okay, we sustain the efforts intended to improve or maintain the physical, social, and economic well-being of a community. We also do disaster prevention. Okay, encompasses activities designed to provide permanent protection from disasters. It includes engineering and other physical protective measures and also legislative measures. One thing in disaster prevention, I would like to shall we say suggest this that even if you're at home, you do uh, drills, you know, because we have some surveys and on about with regards on fire. There will be on some fire. There are quite some deaths uh, in the houses or in residences instead than the shall I say on other offices, buildings, and this is because on the residence there are no activities like drills, fire drill. Even a very simple fire drill can be done on your home, and maybe so that all persons at home would know where to go uh, when there's a disaster, and not only on fire, but also on even earthquake. Uh, so if you do have drills at home, it's better. It can help prevent the loss of life. we have disaster mitigation. So these are measures taken in advance of a disaster aimed at decreasing or eliminating its impact on society and on the environment. At home again, we, look for things at home that you need to mitigate whenever a disaster comes. These things won't fall off or won't just easily be uh, toppled down. So you do some mitigation on at home also. Okay, not only on your workplace but also at home. Disaster preparedness. So activities designed to minimize loss of life and damaged properties, to organize the temporary location of people and property from threatened location and facilitate timely and effective rescue, relief, and rehabilitation. So um, this is also part of this is what I mentioned earlier, drills, whether it's fire drill or earthquake drill, any other drills at home or at workplace or even in your barangay or in your community or in your subdivisions. And you need to know where will be your evacuation areas whenever a disaster comes. So these are things that we need to inculcate in everybody's lives. The So that we will be prepared at all times. Another one is a warning system or the warning. So this is how we disseminate of messages signaling imminent hazards, which also includes advice or protective and preventive measure. I'm not sure if you have warnings at your community, but if you can suggest one in your barangay, that would be better. You have a very simple warning wherein all of the community personnel or the people around the barangay would be able to hear it, would be able to know what that warning is. Next is disaster assessment. This is another subtopic, disaster assessment. This will be the last topic for this module. So what is a survey? It is the inspection or examination of the situation in order to ascertain conditions and value. It is the result of this activity is used as basis for recommendations. We do also damage assessment. Is the estimation and description based on physical observation by government officials on the nature and extent of damage resulting from a disaster to determine the needs or disaster response. So assessment, it's an information tool for decision makers. It helps to identify the most vulnerable sector of the affected population. It is finding out what is going on, what the changes are, and in what direction it may develop by inquiring, investigating, examining the general situation, which includes the health and welfare of the affected community. Another one is identification of local resources and capacities to respond to the affected areas. Identification of needs for emergency measures to save and sustain the lives of the affected population and the possibilities for recovery and development. So, what are the methods of assessment? We have the secondary data review, the observation and visual inspection, and also the key information interviews and the group discussion. While the types of assessment, we have the early notification, the situation assessment, emergency needs analysis, and the ongoing monitoring and needs assessment. We also have the secondary data review again, the observation and visual inspection, and the key information interviews and group discussion. So, what are the general considerations in assessment in any disaster? So, we need to know what happened. We need to know when did it happen or where did it happen, and who are the affected, who are involved, how many persons, and why did it happen, the cause, and how did it happen. Okay, so these are some basic questions we do when we assess a disaster. So again, the keys to successful assessment is to ask questions, go to the field, go to the ground zero if you can, and do the visual inspection. Balance team, the generalist and then the specialist, and then timeliness. One of the problem again is also the communication barrier. So we need to have the barrier taken out, no? The dialect, the skills, etc. And then the cultural awareness. Separate emergency needs from chronic needs, like pre-disaster baseline data is critical. Okay. The gender sensitivity, the interview and the interviewer. Why? Sometimes uh, mahuya, no? Some affected personnel or some affected individual would be shy if, for example, if if she's a girl and the interviewer is a male. So we need to be sensitive in the gender. The use of tools, we need some checklists or questionnaires. And then we also have to be aware of race expectations by the affected individuals. And then be aware of bias reporting also or whatever bias information. And then the one another important thing is the proper documentation. So that's about it on the disaster management. Um, um, I hope you learned something from it, and hope that if we have more time to discuss eventually in the future, we can go down and drill down on the disaster preparedness portion. Um, we do have some trainings also on disaster preparedness. So this is it. This module ends now, and then the next video is lecture video is on the first aid. So thank you, and that's it.